So the format of the session today is going to be 6 speakers, like I said, 20-minute sessions with a 5-minute Q&A after. It's really 25 minutes each, and then we'll see, time permitting, how it goes. Our first speaker today that we're going to jump right into it, is Mitch Reed. He's the senior developer at Architect. He's going to be joined by Randall Press, who is the technical lead enterprise solution. We're really excited about this one. We worked with Mitch pretty closely on a daily basis, but we helped him develop a software we had a big part in, and we're really excited to have him show you Architect. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. Good morning. So Architect is a data management tool within the Niagara framework that's meant to rapidly deploy and standardize large databases. Show of hands, how many contractors do we have in here that integrate data on a daily basis? Oh, I know you do. Raise your hand. How many specifying engineers do we have in the house? Just curious, trying to get a lay of the land. A couple. End users? Any end users out here? Nice. So I think the one commonality between all of us is data integrity and the lack of standardization across portfolio. Can we all agree on that? We aim to fix that and allow for the Niagara framework to really be able to be deployable and competitive with a lot of the third-party applications out there that may not reside within the framework itself, which means the end user and owner can reduce operating costs, reduce operating budget, reduce implementation costs, but still own the data and harness the framework that everybody's already heavily invested in, right? So that's the goal of what we're trying to do. And I want to kind of keep this interactive. I got a couple of my guys walking around with a couple door prizes for people, but does anybody know what an IDL is? Show of hand, IDL, acronym. Paul, what is it? What's an IDL? Independent data layer. And what do we use IDLs for? Data management, data integration. So one thing that we need to do is contractors, owners, specifying engineers, is as the industry starts to shift between BAS-centric to data-centric, the big shift is, it doesn't matter if it's BAS, it doesn't matter if it's elevator systems, it doesn't matter if it's life safety, audio visual, all these are just bits of data that need to be treated appropriately within a framework or an environment to be served up for a multitude of different platforms, whether it's a third-party service, whether it's a Niagara integrator, doesn't matter, exporting out, that data management is going to be the absolute paramount portion of the built environment. And it's something that we haven't done historically great as integrators. I'm going to shout out Alan Putnam here. How many years I worked with you where you're like, hey, we got to have consistent data. I'm like, not doing it, dude. Right? So we have to absolutely treat data the appropriate way, serve it up to the appropriate platform, the way that it needs to be shown to be consistent across entire portfolios. And we aim to do that within the Niagara environment. With that, Randall's going to do a quick demo for us, and I want to do a nice Q&A session. So let's make sure we keep this thing interactive.
Thanks, Mitch. Why does it keep doing that? All right, good. We got it again. So a little bit about Architect. It started off as a small tool that we were just going to use internally for single, simple purpose. But at the end of the day, we decided it could be so much more for everybody. So the key goal here was to create a service in Niagara that can help you standardize your data for not just yourself, for building owners themselves. And the key goal here was to keep it so it didn't use anything to create dependencies within your Niagara database. You can take it, you can delete it, you can move it. People can take a copy of the station without having the module, and they can all still run it. After you delete it, it leaves nothing behind that wasn't already part of Niagara. Standard Niagara tags, standard Niagara components, everything. We want this to be flexible, portable, and easy for everyone to use. What it starts off with, it has 3 different layers to it. The first of them is the overall piece is called a deployment map. And that's just how you're actually going to move and deploy your data. The first piece is a building portfolio. And this is the folder structure that you determine. You can either use this piece or don't. If you don't want to reorganize your folders or your data or your devices, you don't have to do this piece. But for those who want a standardized format, this can do it for you. And you start by, each layer here is just another folder. Here's your top layer, which we call building portfolio. This site is broken into areas. From there's floors and so on. You can just keep building out that structure as you want it. And when this runs, it actually creates all these folders for you. Each layer, you can see that you can deploy a logic template, which we'll get into later, and you can do your tags. Each tag here is referencing the internal tag database in Niagara. So as soon as you hit plus, you get a drop down to any tags you have. It can just reference, it's a multi-selection, and it just starts adding natively and quickly. The next part are the device sheets. Here, you go to add a device, and you get your standard Niagara tree, and you can navigate in, and you can find any device on the BACnet or Niagara network. And, any network, correct, Mitch. And a device can be anything you need it to be. So if you are using something in the Niagara network, and you get all the way down into it, this VAB folder, I select it, that's going to be considered a device now, and it's going to treat it as if it's a device. When you bring it in, it'll have a name. You can feel free to change this name, and when you run it, it'll rename it for you. Set a display name. The building portfolio section, when you click it, this directory is that building portfolio you built earlier. You can select where within that portfolio you want this device to get moved to, if you're moving it. The original device is a tag that it's going to add to it. This is where, when you imported it, it was residing in the station. So someone can take the device, they can cut it, they can move it. It references this tag and realizes you were already part of this map. I can get you back to where you need to be. Or someone could have renamed it. And it'll say, based on this tag, you should be renamed to one of the devices that's already here. There's point sheets, which we'll go into later. And then there's the logic templates. All those logic templates are your logic and your wire sheets. You can standardize all of your logic into folders. Here I've got two examples. It has a simple marker tag on it, and inside you have your entire wire sheet set up for you. You get reference points here with a marker tag on them, and it matches first by display name. If there's no display name, it goes down to regular name. And it creates the links from the points that already exist into the logic where you need them. It even can take parent references to indirectly link outside of the folder itself. It can walk up the tree and over. Going back. One too far. And then the final piece on this are tags. Again, you can tag your device however you need it. The final piece is the point sheets, which is probably the most exciting thing for building owners and for a lot of people that develop their own standards in-house. In the point sheet, you click add a point, and you'll be greeted with the same type of Niagara tree that you saw before, where you can pick points inside your devices. Once it gets added, it has an old point name field, and after it's actually in there, it becomes a comma-separated field. And you can continue to type and add point names as you go along. So really, all this is doing is looking for each instance of a point name, and it will rename it to the new name you give it. So you can go into an environment that's been worked in by 20 different contractors and bring their names to a new standard for your client. You can have contractors come in and do projects, and they can run, and your client can run these sheets and bring it up to the new standard. It can apply. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that real quick. So the power of that can't be understated, right? So as a contractor that's trying to standardize across your entire company with multitude of different programmers and things of that nature, you can literally sit down in a day, and if you already have an idea of what your standard implementation needs to look like, you build out these sheets. You can put every iteration you can think of a point name separated by a comma, right? Put it in there. And then you push these out to your text, import them into the JACE supervisor, either one, hit the play button and run. And we're talking full, I mean, there's no limit to the amount of point names you can put in there, so you can accommodate multiple controller lines, multiple brands, multiple customers, right? So if a customer typically sees this, or if you're an SI and you're working with a TC contractor and they do it this way, you don't have to have multiple sheets for multiple TC contractors. It's one sheet, add the data, hit the play button, let it run, let it normalize.
And like Mitch said, it's a living document. You do it on one job, you add 5 new point names, move to the next one. Now you're accommodating 5 new. Maybe you grab another couple. It just keeps evolving and growing to handle more and more scenarios to get it back to either your or the customer standard that you need it to be. There's logic templates available for the points as well. There's tags you can do. We don't do a lot of tags on there, but you can do as many tags as you need. You can configure Niagara alarms right from here. You can configure Niagara histories. You can enable them or disable them from here. You can set the history names to standards. You can do facets, so you can standardize how all of your points actually show up, all their data, same unit, same precision, and you can assign tuning policies. So this is just a one-stop shop to go through all of it. So as a demo here, I've got a couple devices we can add in. I'll walk down to the BACnet network. We'll multi-select. Oh wait, I'm in the points. I'm sorry. Our device sheet. Grab two devices here and import both of them in. So we have them. We can set a display name. See, I multi-selected the driver, so it thought it wanted to be a device. So you really can't have anything considered a device. I can just delete that out there. If there's anything you need, you can click and you can duplicate this out multiple times. You just have to make sure you edited your original device. So if you had something with tons of tags on it, and you just want to duplicate it out to handle a couple scenarios, you can edit it, pick a new device, and it'll now reference a brand new device. This is all about rapid deployment and fitting things out as quickly as possible. I won't go through all of the different tags and spend a lot of time on that, but I'll assign a point sheet to both of them. Everything here is copy and pastable and repeatable. And I just paste that down there, so you can just assign multiple point sheets very quickly. With it, this thing, it is a service, but that's used loosely. Usually you think services are Niagara pieces and components that run continuously on the station. This never takes action unless you tell it to take action. So we never want this thing just moving or manipulating the database without a conscious effort from the user themselves. And then it's just you have to do it on the deployment map. So you can make multiple maps to handle, you might have a map just for one JACE. You could have a map that handles the entire building. It's however you want to break it down. It's actions and deploy. This is going to run on the entire Niagara network and that BACnet network. So you can see it starts a job. And right now, it's running through tagging, linking, and it just completed. The whole thing is lightning fast. I've done 2,500 devices in a deployment, just doing your moving, reorganization, tagging, setting alarms. It finishes in 30 seconds. I've done 250 devices with linking and a full boat, and it finishes in 90 seconds. This is all about quick, rapid deployment and making your life and your job easier for yourself, your integrators, and building owners.
Touch on when there's a failure.
So if there is a failure, typically the only time that happens with a failure is in logical linking. If there is a failure as part of the linking, it runs into service and you can hit the additional details button and come down. And if there is a failure, it'll tell you these failures here, they're not true failures and it didn't do something. It looked for a point and couldn't find a name match, so it skipped on and went past it. But it'll tell you what it looked for and what it couldn't find. But if there is a critical failure where it's going to stop working, it'll tell you what device it failed on, what logic template it failed on, and what point name. So it's full and total troubleshooting and message reporting for you so you can get to the bottom quickly and easily and resolve your problems. And what really becomes the beauty for this, for people who are rolling out their standardized logic, you're putting this logic on 200, 300, multiple VAVs. This is your template here. You make a mistake on it, you have something linked wrong, fix the link in one spot, redeploy it, and 90 seconds later, every single VAV is fixed. No more copy and pasting the multiple VAVs. No more touching the devices duplicating it out and changing the device to match what your new template was. This is it, right here, all of it in one location and quick.
Thanks, Randall. So I want to touch on, so we talked about data lakes, we talked about data ontology and the importance of that. So I want to talk about deploying projects as a TC contractor real quick, right? So, but historically what I've seen since we've begun deploying this, I've seen roughly 45 to 50% reduction in JACE work labor and graphical labor when we're deploying projects. So that helps us accelerate schedules, meet deadlines. We were able to shave 7 days off a schedule for a big customer recently that had a critical shutdown, that we were just able to improve on that based on, without having to focus on data ontology on the back end and focus graphically a ton of resources, we were able to spend more time commissioning, spend more time functional testing, spend more time with the commissioning agent, which then reduced that time frame because I had less to worry about on the back end, if that makes sense. So it's not only a tool for deployment and database management, but it's an optimization tool for your group as well, because it's hard. It's easier to find guys that can start up equipment. It's harder to find guys that understand database management, ontology, and deployment. Right? I think we can all agree on that. I struggle with that with my team. So this is something that really helped us optimize the entire TC through MSI experience, and also helped us improve upon our check test start portion, just simply based on the amount of time that's required for the back-end JACE programming and supervisor programming. That's all we had. We want to save plenty of time for questions. I'm hoping that we have a fair amount based on what you guys just saw. So anybody want to fire away with a couple questions? Anything you guys got?
Hello. What's the pricing structure look like? Are you guys doing this like a per point basis? How are you licensing it?
Yeah, great question. So there's one price for a JACE, one price for a supervisor. That's it, regardless of point count. I don't care about points. I don't care about containers. I don't care about devices. This is not something that is meant to browbeat people. This is a very affordable solution to help with the data ontology portion. So yeah, JACE and supervisor.
Awesome, thank you. Now, procuring
Just
it.
to add to your question for a second, to clarify, this isn't importing your points into the at all. This is just giving you a spreadsheet representation of it. We don't deal in points. We don't bloat this thing up. This is just referencing what's already in Niagara. We're not bringing it. We don't want the points to come out with it. This is just a view, and this is just something that can move from job to job, container up. If you're in your device sheet and you go to take it to another job, you can just multi-select, delete every device, and it's got all your tags pre-ready for you. Because if you use standard tags over and over again, they're all there. Just add the device and then just start tagging away. Go ahead, Phil. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. The other question is just procurement. Is this on Tritium's marketplace, or are you guys selling through distribution?
No, if we're not good friends and having a beer together, you're not getting it. So you're in luck. No. Cochrane Supply, great partner of ours. They're going to be reselling it. So reach out to Aaron so he gets all the sales credit, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And regardless of market, state, city, and then they'll be reselling it for us, and we'll be deploying it and helping with training and ongoing support and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome, thank you.
Good question.
And long term, this is going to be yours. We'll be there for support, but we're no means selling this to you like, hey, now we're going to do this side for you. No, this is yours. Take it, own it, use it. You do it how you need to do it. This is your standards and your customer standards.
I know you got a question. No? Come on, man. Who else out there? Paul? I'm good. Good?
So I got a quick question for you. I want you to talk about just the ROI that you've seen already, and where you've deployed this so far.
Yeah, so like I said, we saw roughly 45-50% reduction in labor. That obviously helps the bottom line for everybody involved. But really the thing that I can't quantify that I don't want to lose here is the ability to focus more on check test start commissioning and not database management. That helps us shore up our deployments in the field and beat construction schedules, which are ever browbeating on TC contractors, as we all know, right? And helps with our relationships with the commissioning contractors. They're not coming in, they're not having to come back, make multiple trips, things of that nature. So the quantifiable portion is roughly 45% labor, maybe a bit better than that. It might be a little, you know, a little on the low side, but the unquantifiable portion is the reputation and deployment portion in the field.
Cool. Cool. So, you know, one other thing for me too, before we open it back up to everybody else is, I guess, you know, what's the next steps for Architect and where you want to take it into the future?
So, another great question. I mean, obviously we'll always be supporting it, we'll always be maintaining it. I really do want to get this out in the marketplace. I think there's a tremendous need for it. But as far as additional features and things, I don't see a massive overhaul coming, you know. I'm a Niagara guy. Everything that you can do within Niagara is currently within Architect. I don't want to overcomplicate this thing. I don't want to I don't want to make it to where, you know, people can't use it. That's not the goal. We're going to make it simple, deployable, do its job, set up data for wherever you got to get it going, and on to the next one. This is not a third-party ongoing, you know, promise you the world, it's going to do everything, AI and all this. Happy, can't say that word, but this is Niagara, and it's going to be Niagara, and I'm a Niagara guy, and you know, what you see is what you get.
I think everybody else is just like me. You don't want something to take a long time. The more that gets in here, the more bloat it is. It's just going to take longer to run, and there's going to be more spots for it to air out. This is going to take away 90% of the pain points of deployment and making things easier for technicians. I mean, you can hand a technician a sheet like this. They don't really know as much programming, but they have got all your templates, and they can start rolling these things out for you. And so it's reduced a lot of overhead there. Technicians don't have to worry about creating folders and complicated structures and JASEs. Just get it to the supervisor. We'll take care of it up there for you. So it reduces a lot of little pain points all over the place.
I've got one for you. So have you thought about, one of the things we struggle with is templates and copying and pasting and version control, right? Is this the newest version of what we've perfected? So when you're doing this from job to job, how are you handling like version control?
For us, it's going to be a standardized station that people are going to start with. It's going to be maintained and managed. As people go to start their jobs up, they'll have to check in with one of their project managers who's going to be in touch with the staff dealing with the enterprise solution, and they'll give them the latest stations. We've toyed with ideas that when we create the job and we start the project folder structure, the template station is moved over into that. So we're controlling what the technicians get when they start up to start the job. So we maintain that piece and portion of it. And then if we need to go back later to a job with a code revision, we can have someone go in, drop the new template on there, and then just rerun this all over again. And it's right back out there. They're up to version 2, 3, whatever you need it to be.
Yeah, the great part about this too, that's a fantastic question. If you don't leave this behind on the JASE or supervisor, right, which you certainly can, but if you don't, it's a simple save. Save that log file, right, and then save it to your customer folder. And then if you need to re-implement, grab what you need, throw the sheets in there, update the sheets, redeploy, 90 seconds, you're out, right?
Very cool, man. I like it. That's good.
Thank you.
And it helps open up the opportunities for those administrative things. Maybe your customer's getting 30 different jobs, and you can't handle every single one of them, but maybe you can say, hey, but we can have someone PM check in on it, put this in there, bring me in, I'll be the administrator of your standards, and we can run this and bring everyone up to your standard, and you can kind of sit back and watch all that come in.
So you can add in new trends, alarms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can set all that up, and it just will populate everything after you run.
Correct, yeah. And if there's an existing trend or alarm, it will rewrite that to whatever the new standard is. It won't delete it, so you're not gonna lose record, right? But it'll bring it up to where it's at.
And I think that's an important thing to mention. If in your point sheet you do not define a trend, so you have space temp, but you don't put a trend on it, it won't actively delete that trend off of there. It's not trying to be destructive to the existing station. But if you add a trend in there and it recognizes that a trend was added and then you remove it, it will remove the trend from the station. So it doesn't try to be destructive unless you tell it to be destructive. That's the key goal. If somebody has a stable system, it'll do the operations you need it to do, but not anything extra.
So you can overwrite or
delete as in if you told it to make it, if you told it to make it a trend, and then you turn that and say no trend on it, it will take that trend off there that you told it to create.
Mitch, this is simple, and simple is beautiful. Do you have training videos for this in place?
We don't currently, we're working on that. We have an extensive training manual that goes out with it, step by step, kind of similar to you know, like the N4 training. But yeah, that's on our roadmap, definitely.
One more from my answer.
So this is all, seems very powerful. Will this run on like a J6000 with like a full station, or is this relegated to 9,000 plus or supervisors?
You run on Jace 3. Oh, don't ever run anything on Jace 3. No, you can, yeah.
No, it's lightweight, it's made to be lightweight. You know, linking is probably the most extensive part to it. I can't say that it won't take a little bit longer on a full Jace, but it is fully capable of running on a Jace 8000 because we've made it to be lightweight. And I think that also brings up an important other counterpoint. Because this was all done with native Niagara core style pieces, we've been able to run it successfully from Niagara 410 all the way up to the current version. We already know it's going to run in Niagara 415, and we have, you know, we're going to test it, but because everything's still core Niagara, it should have no problems running into Niagara 5 in the future. Because it's just all built off of what it is. You don't need to worry about all these, there's no certificates for it, so you don't have to worry about updating certificates and it going out of date with security. It's just core Niagara.
One more question.
You already answered my question.
Yes, I asked yesterday, but I was doing it for a little bit on it. When are you looking at having an application or something that's going to run this same renaming through the X-Folder?
It's a good that's a fantastic question. Not currently. It's not something that, so it kind of goes back to the IDL ideology, right? So that's something we potentially would look at, but this is meant to standardize an IDL for something, not necessarily Niagara being that, you know, end graphical solution. But yeah, it's something we can certainly take a look at. It's an interesting question. Just not something that we currently have on track.
But that does make, you know, a very valid point that before you run this, you have to be cognizant of what's on your station already. If you have Niagara graphics and it's all looking for point names, unless you're looking to migrate to your new standard fully with your new package, you will break their graphics. So with a lot of power comes a lot of, you know, responsibility and chance for destruction.
I just want to close with one quick thing. We talked about the entirety of the suite, what you can do with it, all the different functions. You can run individual functions separately. So I'll give you an example. A big customer of ours was having issues with tuning policies and lack thereof across their portfolio. So we were able to go in, you know, take a look at busy times and network traffic and use this tool just to adjust tuning policies across, you know, a couple hundred Jaces and clean up the network traffic. So we can do everything or just a little bit, depending on what you need. And it's super, super flexible.
Yeah, it all works out from the device sheet. It looks at the devices and then works outward from there. There's even some extra features in here that I didn't particularly cover that you can tell it where to look within the points. Do you only want to look at the top level? Because you might have your folders subsectioned off. You might have folders with logic in it, but you don't want it to rename those points at all, even though they match some of those other ones. You can tell it only stay at the top level, only look at the bottom level, do every level. And so it gives you all that flexibility and creativity to do that. It even has an ability to create a local folder structure based off that building portfolio under the config space. We have a graphics package that looks at folders under there with specific tags. So we add the function that it could duplicate a folder structure or create only that folder structure under the config space.
All right, that's a wrap on time. Thank you very much, guys. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yep, you're good. You just throw it back on the table.